I used to run Prabhupada's darshans in Vrindavan and Mayapur during the festivals for about 4 or 5 years, up until his leaving in 1977. So one year in Vrindavan, Prabhupada, you'd have to let all the devotees and different people in up to a certain point, and you'd have to stop the different devotees from coming in. And Prabhupada would always give such wonderful darshan. Sometimes you could just see Prabhupada, just his mercy reaching out to so many people. It was just, you could cut the air, it was so thick, and you just want to cry. And that's just, so if you go to so many darshans all the time, just seeing that is that you're seeing the great wonder Prabhupada had over people, had over devotees and visitors. So one day we were in Vrindavan, and a gentleman came, an Indian gentleman in the back. I really didn't pay attention because it was all full room. And Prabhupada said, we're getting toward the end of the darshan, and he goes, where's the prasadam? And that was my responsibility, to make sure everything was there. And I just realized there was no prasadam. Prabhupada had just told me earlier that or the day before, make sure every single person that comes to his darshan gets some prasadam. And he said, if there's not enough, then some of the devotees you cannot. But if there's enough, everyone should get prasadam. So he just looked at me, where's the prasadam? And I was like, so immediately I ran back into the back, and I went into the deity's pujari room and said, where is the sweets are supposed to be for Prabhupada's distribution? And he says, well, someone was sick and they didn't make them, and oh my God. So I was looking in there, and I said, and I went into the deity's room just before they were making an offering, and I said, what is that? There was this whole tray of Mahasweets that they were going to give to Radha and Krishna. And I thought, very quickly, and I took that tray. And as I took that tray, you need me to stop? As I took that tray, I brought it into, I put it on a transfer plate because I had it on the deity plate. And I brought it into Prabhupada. Now I was under a dilemma. How am I supposed to offer this? You can imagine it was like in my neophyte. Well, I'm trying to think, now I've got this prasadam. Am I supposed to bow down and offer the 3 prayers first? I was like in this dilemma. Prabhupada just looked at me, obviously like saw through me. He goes, who is this nut of a disciple? And he said, come here. So he called me here, and he said, open this is a plate I had. And he said, oh, I opened up, and he looked at it. Now distribute. And so, and trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, Prabhupada saw my anxiety. He came and looked at it, and I realized just by offering it to the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada was so potent that that would be accepted for Krishna. After I took it from Krishna's plate. So then I distributed it to everyone. But someone in the back of the room had left without, I guess, first me giving it to it. And Prabhupada said, there is one man, he has left. You must give him his prasadam. You understand? You must give. And I'd never seen that before. So it was just a couple of seconds, so I took some prasadam when I expected to see the person just outside the door. But he wasn't there, so, oh my God, I thought so I kept going farther and farther toward the gate, still didn't see him, and finally went to the gate, and there he was at the gate. So just in a matter of seconds, he was up at the front, which I thought was very unusual. But then I had caught him, and I gave him this prasadam and said, my spiritual master wanted me to make sure that you had some prasad. Yes. And then he looked at me and his head was covered with a chadar, and he was very, very unusual features, very Indian, but very, very regal. And he said, your spiritual master is very kind. And it kind of caught me, and he went down the road. I guess I turned in and went down the road, and he wasn't there anymore. So as I was going back to Prabhupada's, I was thinking, who are these personalities that, that come even in to take darshan of Prabhupada?
Once, when Prabhupada was in London, I was outside the temple, and there was an elder nun walking by on the street with her garb. She was a Carmelite, which I believe the Carmelites are vegetarians. And I said, Hare Krishna, and she said, Hare Krishna. She was an elder woman. And she stopped to talk to me. And we talked for a minute, and I said, our spiritual master is here. Would you like to meet him? And she said, I'd be honored to. So I brought her in the temple, and I went in Prabhupada's room, and I said, Prabhupada, there's a a Christian nun here who I was speaking to, and she's anxious to meet you. He said, oh, bring her in. So she came in, and as I came back in with her, I paid my obeisances. She paid her obeisances. She bowed down, put her head on the floor. And Prabhupada looked up, and he was beaming. And they sat and talked for 10 or 15 minutes about Christianity and Krishna consciousness in total agreement, total accord. He would say something about our philosophy. She would say, yes, Prabhupada. And Jesus said, and Prabhupada would say, yes, and Krishna said. So for 10 minutes, this dialogue of interfaith went on. And she then said, Prabhupada, I'm so grateful to have met you. I really appreciate this connection, and I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you have a lot to do, so may I take my leave? And he said, yes, thank you very much. And then he looked to me and he said, give her this garland. He had his garland on the desk. So I walked over, and she paid her obeisances again. And as she was coming up, I gave her the garland. And it was so beautiful to see the interchange. Many times I saw Prabhupada do that with people of other faiths. He could always see the heart of a person, and would find that way to see the similarities. And if he saw in the heart of a person that they hadn't really gotten it yet, of whatever faith they were in, sometimes he would be a little strong with them. But if someone was sincere, he was always finding that way to see the similarities rather than any differences.
Some of Prabhupada's godbrothers came to the pandal, and Prabhupada sitting in the vyasa and stood up to receive them. Then he realized there weren't enough chairs for them, so he insisted they get chairs. Again, where do you get chairs in Mayapur? Somehow somebody found some chairs, but we had no center, and Prabhupada would not sit down till there was a chair for each of his godbrothers. He's very, very strict that way, of offering the proper etiquette at all the time. And that was Prabhupada's dealings when I was with him. I'd just sit and observe how just offer the different etiquette to everybody. He knew exactly what to do, the right, perfect thing for everybody. One businessman came to see Prabhupada. He said, oh, I want to serve you, Swami. I want to dedicate my life to you. Everything is for you, Swami. So Prabhupada said, great, I'm going to Tokyo tomorrow. You come with me and join my preaching tour. Oh, but I can't go. He knew just how to call bluffs and just how to engage people.